Now, every day, business managers are confronted with questions on spending money to either save or make money in the future. We refer to these as capital budgeting decisions. Now, I'm going to use the same math concepts as I use in valuing stocks and bonds. However, we're going to look at it from a little different perspective. We're going to use it like in the determination of whether or not we want to spend money to reduce future cost or increase profits. Maybe an expansion project so that we have a new product line or into a new market. It could be a safety or environmental project. It could be a merger. Anything that you're purchasing money on, but yet I have not yet discussed. Now, the rate that I'm going to use, or refer to as a discount rate, is going to be 10%. Now, I recommend that we use a much higher rate. Now, most of your textbooks use 10% because it's an easy number. In the real world, you've got to have some wiggle room, some meat on the bone. You don't know if those future cash flows are going to be really what they say they are, or what somebody's told you they might be. So I always recommend a 20 to 30% in the real world. So let's go ahead and create a problem. Let's say you've been approached to maybe spend some money to save $100 1 year from now, $200 2 years from now, and $300 3 years from now. And we're using that 10% rate. Can you tell me what number equates to those cash flows? Now, let's say that you've been told that it's $481.59 to purchase that. Well, we can do a couple things. Well, one thing, we can just do the problem longhand and find the NPV of these cash flows. Now, I'm going to do them longhand. So the NPV of those three cash flows, I have to take this first $100 and I have to discount it back. There's a 1 there. 1 period. Then I have to add it to the $200, and I'm going to discount that one back over 2 periods. Then I'm going to have to add it to the $300, and I'm going to discount this back over 3 periods. Now, some of you probably look at this and go, why am I multiplying this way? Well, most of our textbooks were using the I divide by 1 plus R 1, and then I divide by the 1 plus the R 2. However, all finance books usually use this number here as a present value factor. So I like to show, we refer to this as multiplying by its reciprocal. Now, if I take all those numbers and these calculations, I get an NPV, and that NPV is equal to that cash flow 1 year from now, that 2 years from now, that 3 years from now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do it in Excel, and we're going to go ahead and compare it to what this cost right here is going to actually be. So I'm going to come back up here to Formulas and Finance, and I'm going to go to NPV. Let's put it right here. Let's click right here on this cell, Formulas, and find my NPV function. And I'm going to go ahead and grab, here's the rate. Now, to put this first value in of $100, it's going to be multiplying it by 1 plus R to the negative 1 already, and here it is. And then it's just going to say, okay, whatever you put for value number 2, I'm going to add it. I'm going to do that one and add it to it, and here it is again. And then I'm going to go to value 3, and I'm going to hit OK. So we can see that this project is worth $481.59, and therefore it is actually worth $459. So if I worked it a different way, for instance, let me say I went to Formulas in Finance and went to NPV and said something to the effect, well, I can't do it in this calculation. This is the one problem with Excel, is if I could put a negative number here, I could. Most of your calculators will let you do it. And this is what I want to show you. Excel does not let us put a value 0. So you kind of have to, in essence, look at the problem and go, would I spend $481 for $481? In this case, this problem, at 10%, you would. Now, this is referred to as NPV, or net present value. Let's try another problem. You see here we've got 2 projects. You've got Project A and Project B. Now, the question I would pose you would be, would you spend $1,000 for those cash flows at 10%? So let's go ahead, and if I did it longhand, here's that one formula I was doing for each one of them longhand. This is what I was showing you earlier. If you come over here, this is the longhand version of it. And here's the formula. I'm going to go ahead and use Excel instead of doing it longhand. We've already seen it done longhand. I'm going to go to Formulas and Finance, and I'm going to find my NPV function. And here it is. And with the NPV function, I can go, well, here's the rate, 10%. And again, I cannot put a value 0. I have to put a value 1, and a value 2, and a value 3. And here's value 4. Pull this down a little bit for value 5. And I'll hit OK. So we can see that those 5 cash flows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are worth today $1,134. So would you spend $1,000 for $1,134.08? You sure would. What it's saying is at 10%, this is worth $134.08 more than the $1,000. And I could do this one again, and you see I've reversed a little bit, and let's see what this number looks like. If we were given the question, which project would you do? You're going to do the one with the highest net present value. In Excel, it's if you put them in correctly the first time, you grab this little fill bar right here, and you pull across, and it calculates the second for you automatically. Now, if I take a look at that one, now it's $1,114.31. So it's telling me it's not worth as much. So given the two, I'm going to pick Project A. And Project A is worth $134.08 more than my $1,000, whereas Project B is only worth $114.31 more than the $1,000. So this is what it's giving me here. Now, with the Hewlett-Packard 10B2, with the BA, with the TI-84, they will allow us to put a 0 cash flow. Now, I don't have the TI, the HB, but I'll go ahead and show the TI really quick, or the BA. And the BA, when I hit when I want to do these, I hit cash flow, and you see I've got a cash flow 0. I can make it a negative number. And if I was using the TI-84, I just hit the apps button, and I go ahead and hit 1 for finance, and then 7 for my NPV function. And this first spot right here will allow me to put my negative 1,000. And at that point, I put the comma, and I go ahead and put the rate. Now, I do have videos showing how to do NPV with all the calculators, whether it's the Hewlett-Packard 10B2, the BA. I just wanted to use Excel and longhand. I think it helps a little bit here. Now, a minute ago, I mentioned that I would use a different rate. For instance, if I come up here to this B5 here, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete this B5 and just put a 28%. And I've got to put a percent sign always with Excel. And I'll hit recalculate. You see how much that dropped. Now it's actually less than $1,000. So you would not spend $1,000 for $833. Given the two projects, I'm going to pick Project A at 10%. At anything higher than 10%, I might not. It just depends on what the rate is. And I did not tell you what the rate is. I just basically told you that at 10% I would do this. That doesn't tell me what the rates of return are. That was referred to as internal rate of return, and that'll be the next video.